Garrick Jones, affectionately nicknamed the Commish by his teammates, played in the National Football League with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans, Atlanta Falcons, and in the Canadian Football League with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Calgary Stampeders, and Edmonton Eskimos. He's become a good friend of ours, and he started a petition to become the next general manager of the NFL's Houston Texans, and he joins us from H-Town today. How you doing, Commish?
I'm good. How you guys holding up?
We're good. Thanks for the question, by the way. How are things going over in Houston? Not like you guys haven't had your tragedies over the years and crises.
Man, it's different. Everybody's having to make adjustments, as far as staying in the house and staying out of the way. So it's one of those deals where, man, we're going to be resilient in it and get it done so we can get back to work, man.
Well, okay, so I've told our viewers what your deal is, your petition to become the next general manager of the Houston Texans. Before we talk about that, what is wrong with the Texans, Garrick? What's wrong with them?
I think we've lost sight of the main thing. I think we have a lot of people in the organization that are out for self, and it's not about teamwork anymore. It's about agendas and tenures and those types of things like that. And we need to get away from becoming a stepping stone to something greater. Because what happens is, and what has happened in the past is anybody that has come to Houston, whenever they leave, they go and win a Super Bowl. And that's not good, because now you become a stepping stone to bigger and better things. And I think we've adapted to that mentality. When people come to town, and that's coaches, that's general managers, that's whoever, and the city deserves better,
Oh boy, you're flooding my mind. We've seen franchises like that before, and that is a fundamental problem for sure. Now, the question for me is your movement. Let's get into that to be the next GM of the Houston Texans. How's it going?
It's going good, man. We're picking up some steam. I mean, it just makes sense. Because I played, with the organization, had the opportunity to get to know Mr. McNair, and he gave me my opportunity and understood where my mindset was when it came down to, building something that's going to outlive you. And I wasn't just a player, and he understood that. And I think that was one of the things that I admired about him, is because, he actually would talk to me. And there was that type of connection when I had been with other organizations, and I never really talked with the general managers. It was kind of a disconnect. And I felt that level of closeness there, even though I had went to other teams. I made it my point to make it back to Houston, because of a conversation that we had at one point. But ultimately, talking to some of my teammates and a few other people that say, hey, man, this just makes sense. I mean, this is a space you come from. This is something that you've been cultivating, all these years. I believe that you could bridge the gap to where now we can get these fans back involved. Because the fans right now, they're not in a good space. The players as well. I mean, that locker room, I believe, from being a player and understanding the dynamics of it, that locker room isn't in a good place as well. So it just made sense, man. It's time to try to stop this bleeding and really look at the aspect of bringing the Super Bowl to Houston.
Garrick, yeah, I love that. And when we were there in Houston, I mean, we see just how great the community is, that experience with the tailgate and everything else. It's awesome. So this is kind of like a job. It's kind of like a job interview here. So if we close our eyes and we say, it's 5 years from now, Garrick Jones is the GM of the Texans, what type of a team, what type of an organization are we looking at?
We're going to have an organization that understands the main thing. It's all about teamwork. If I'm in a position that I'm not adding value to what our equation is, I'm subtracting from it. So everybody has to have that identity. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's about the communication. It's like a relationship, man. It's like a marriage. If something is going wrong, we need to figure out what the deal is and get it rectified, so that way we can make this history that other people read about. This isn't hard. We tend to make things hard. We tend to get in the way. And we want to have everybody in a position where they have a vested interest in what we're doing and they have a voice. Right now, the fans don't have a voice, and they are really putting that voice out there in a major way that will reflect ticket sales and all those different things right now. There's a ton of petitions out there right now that these people they're upset, and they don't feel like that they're a part of anything that's going on. So ultimately, I'm there to bridge that gap. And if this is a job interview, I'm the man for the job, period, point blank. It's time. It's time for it to happen.
Well, I love that. And culture is number one in any organization. I think that's key. So we know that your Texans would have a great O-line. That would probably be a priority, I'm sure. What would be your second? What's your second priority past the O-line?
I think headed over to the defensive aspect of it. Of course, the guys up front make it go. You got to give everybody time. You got to be able to get to the quarterback when it's time to do that. We'd be fast, but at the same time, everybody would be there for the same thing. A lot of times in a lot of locker rooms that I've been in, you had guys that were mercenaries. They were just there for the check, and you can't win. And you go back to culture. That's what it's about. Everybody has to buy in. In order to benefit, everybody has to buy in. So we would have a team that would be completely vested and bought in. And what I mean by that is, with the team itself, I would make sure that these athletes are able to focus on the game and get rid of all the distractions. And what that means is making sure that when they are done playing, they're going to have an opportunity to take care of their families for life. And when guys understand that you're thinking about them after the game and after the lights, that allows them to really free themselves up and go and be fast and play fast. I mean, when I came in, everything was okay. I got to keep this job, X's and O's. I got to keep this job, X's and O's. When teams were bringing guys in to replace you each and every week, we got to get away from that. We got to show them, hey, look, we're here for you. We're here to help you and help your families. So now you can go out and increase our bottom line. And when the players are in a good headspace, that means that upper management is in a great headspace. The people that are there working, your groundskeepers, everybody understands that we're here in this thing together. And that's what it's about.
Two last questions for you, Garrick. One's from a viewer. I'll get to that in a second. But when you were on our show in December, Henry Burris just went, the Commish. I could see how you two would get along really well. Is Hank the only one that calls you Commish, or is that your universal nickname? And if so, why?
I think it's universal now because when I played, everybody understood my mindset. I was always thinking outside of the box. It was always bigger than the game with me. And it has to be. It has to be bigger than X's and O's because you'll spend more time as a retired athlete than you will actually playing the game. So I understood that. I understood that from the gate coming into it and coming into professional sports because of how I had to make it to the NFL, how I didn't have a senior season of college, how I had to travel across the country to really prove to these scouts that I could be the one, and I was a professional without being paid to be so. So a lot of these athletes saw it, and they saw that I was on my hustle. I always tell people that professional ball was my side hustle. Everything else that I did was for this moment right now. And that's really what I cultivated in the culture that everybody knows me as. They understand that I'm about business and making sure that we're going to be okay. And that would be the same attitude and mentality that I bring to the table with the Texans.
So from our viewer, Randy is watching in Cochrane, Alberta. You probably know where that is, having played for the Stamps. He wants to know if the Patriots will be acquiring Deshaun Watson from your Houston Texans. Because that's a talk.
It is, and that's what I'm seeing. And I mean, it's just talk right now. Unfortunately, Deshaun is he's in a rough patch. He's in a rough spot right now, and Bill O'Brien has put him there. Unfortunately, Deshaun has done a lot for the city. I mean, he's kept the city thriving. He's one of those guys. He's special. He's a Michael Jordan type of guy. So a lot of teams want it, and we have to get back to a point where he understands that Houston is here for him. Houston has his back, and that's why I threw my name in the hat when the situation with Hopkins went down, Reader, Jay Joseph, all those guys. Those guys are cornerstones of the organization. And what has to happen is you have to make sure that you keep those guys there for a guy like Watson, because he's young. And he has to know that team is there for him. I mean, he's bailed O'Brien out a lot, unfortunately. And for him to go to bat publicly for O'Brien, and now for him to start pulling weapons away from him, that has the kid in a bad headspace. So we'll see how that plays out. But ultimately, the Patriots, any team would want it. I mean, all of them if they can get them. The Patriots would be a good spot. But if I had it my way, I'm gonna keep him here. And that's what I want him to understand is, and I shot a message to him and said, hey, look, just hang tough. You know, we're working on some things, trying to make sure that you understand that we love you, bro. We love everything about you, and we want to make sure that this organization is set up for you to thrive and win. So that's what I would say to that, man. I know Bill wants him, Belichick, anybody would want him, but we want to keep him here.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the kind of GM I would want of my team, Garrick. So just as we let you go, you're available on all social media channels. Give this guy a follow, and you've got a Facebook group for the petition, right?
Yeah. It's Garrick Jones for general manager. That's on Facebook. I mean, you can Google me. You can find pretty much anything you want to find on me. I'm not hard to find, man. We're here to try to make this thing happen. We're here to try to correct this ship, put it back on the right track. And you know, everything that I've done with the State's Developmental Football League in regards to financial literacy, entrepreneurship, business management, all those different things, branding, is what I want to bring to the organization of the Houston Texans. So now everybody's in a good place, and we changed the narrative from the team all the way down to the groundskeepers and the fans. Everybody's going to benefit from it, and we're going to have a good time bringing the Super Bowl here, man. It's time to get it.
All right, everybody, follow this man. Garrick, thanks for the time. Keep in touch.
Appreciate you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Garrick Jones joining us from Houston, Texas.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.